Greetings, everyone. This is part 3 of my Grail series. I'm going to continue reading from my 1998 The Grail Alpha through Omega, and as I read, there will be places where I will make some commentaries. Today is on the meditative procedure with Stellar Earth Grail Dynamics. The symbology. The constellation of Orion is represented by the Grail King, who is guided by his vision of the Grail as a Christic consciousness attainment. The Pleiades are represented by the Lady of the Lake, extending the sword, or spiritual power, to the Grail King. Sirius is represented by the Grail Knight, who guards and protects the sword, and thus holds it in his safekeeping. Thus the jewel which has been stolen from the hilt of the sword is returned through the activity of the Grail Knight, who seeks to find and return it. Now I would call attention to our previous videos that the jewel in the sword, in the hilt of the sword, is that node or point of balance that was originally in Orion and was relocated to Sirius due to the fall, shall we say. We're using that as a very biblical term because it's really not a fall in the true sense of the word. Everything has its place. But to give it context in regard to our understanding of cycles of events, we can say that it was a coming down of a vibration. And in such, this node was moved to Sirius. Now, I don't have the reason why it was moved to Sirius. That could be a whole another topic of discussion. I could get with Thoth on that, and I think it would be a very valuable interest. But right now, that's all I can tell you on that. And it does relate to, in this context, to the jewel in the hilt of the sword that is returned through the activity of the Grail Knight, i.e. Sirius, who seeks to find and return it. The procedure. The Grail King, your divine male aspect, is in receipt of a sacred vision, which leads him to the Lady of the Lake, your divine feminine aspect. She extends the sword of sacred manifestation to him, but he cannot grasp it until the jewel which was stolen from the hilt of the sword is restored. Find the place within yourself where this jewel is sequestered. Place yourself in the role of the Grail Knight. Find the jewel and return it to the sword so that it may be handed to the Grail King. What part of your nature keeps the jewel from you? Why must you release it? What must you release in order for it to be returned to the sword? Again, what must you release in order for it to be returned to the sword? The 7 sacred sets of permutations. Thoth on this topic. The 7 stars of Ursa Major are the knights to the maiden of the Pleiades. This dynamic is not part of the Orion King, Pleiades, Maiden Queen, Sirius Knight format, yet it is still within the workings of the cosmic Grail. There is a balance struck between these two formats, which align to the 14 Yurga permutations of the body of Osiris, a cosmic Grail King personified. In order to understand the 14 Yurga permutations, first it is necessary to explore the 13 Talasketet. Boy, this is a hard one. I'm going to say it again. Actually, I'm going to spell it for you. T-A-L-A-S-K-H-E-T. Talasket permutations of the lunar cycle. Here Thoth refers us to information he gave some time ago in the 13 Mountain of the Moon elixirs, Apotheca Healing Manual. Thoth chose the word Apotheca as the name for the full 13 moon set of the Aether elixirs, as he tells us that from the Atlantean through the Greek experiences, Apotheca also known as apothecus, means to diffuse, to engender from solvents, and to amplify through solution. As a 13 vibration, the set of these elixirs sustains the frequency of the universal Christos, the Grail consciousness, within the etheric body. This means that the Christic consciousness, which is imbued in the earth through various spiritualized forms and does not reside alone in the Christian religion, is brought into union with the goddess through the earth vapor to release the perfect feminine-masculine marriage of moon-sun within the first matter, a ether elixirs Thoth has named Mountain of the Moon. There's a whole story about these elixirs, which we created, Simeon and I, years ago, out of the Prima Matra powders from Lady Nellie's land of the, the Adara crystals. So this is what this is about. And actually the Electricum templates, the art and accompanying information that I created in early 2001 or 2 or something, came out of that. And now on my Kyi'Ra portal, I have the Oracle tool of the Electricum. So it's all related to these Mountain of the Moon elixirs. Okay, to continue with the 14 permutations, Thoth says, the missing phallus of Osiris's body symbolizes the regenerative aspect of the cosmos, which humanity has been sealed away from since it left the great inscription of light. Thus, the 14th permutation links the 13 lunar permutations to the solar logos, the word of manifestation, and thus regeneration. We will give you the following major systems of cosmic rhythm permutations identified by the Lemurian system for same, called the, oh boy, here's a big word now. I wouldn't even begin to try to pronounce this, so I'm going to spell it for you. Loyoscolika. Well, I said I wouldn't try, but I'm going to try. Loyoscolika. Hey, that's not bad. Kind of rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Okay. The number of permutations and their functional nature in that system is also revealed at this time. Okay, so here are the 14. Are they 4? No, these are the 7. Let me see what he's saying here. Hold on. These are the major systems of cosmic rhythm permutations identified by the Lemurian system, and there are actually 7 here. Okay. 1 is the 13 Talashaket, lunar Christic feminine, presented in the Mountain of the Moon elixirs. Okay. The second is the 14 Jirga, the missing link uniting the 13 lunar Christic permutations with the greater solar logos, thus changing entropy into syntropy and moving beyond the Mazzaroth into the Mazzaloth. The third is the 22nd Ishafal, Kabbalistic Adam Kedmonic. The fourth is the 16 Hakeminor, inner solar or inner earth central sun. The fifth is the 12 Hieron, Hieron, Hieron. I believe it's more aptly Hieron. Solar Christic masculine. And the sixth is the 24 Mathru Humka, universal solar or universal central sun master consciousness. The seventh is the 144 Narveda, resonates with 144,000 grand solar vectors, the 144,000 star suns, or grand master consciousness. Well, that was certainly a mouthful. I think we could do a study just on that alone, but of course I would have to receive more information from Thoth to do that. So he continues. These sacred 7 sets of permutations are the basis for the Adam Kadmonic life in the universe. Now, when he says the Adam Kadmonic life in the universe, he's speaking about the template of what we consider human beings. Now, that can cover a lot of different kinds of human beings, in different levels of energy and substance and properties. but they are all genetically related and come out of, in some manner or form, what Thoth is referring to, again, biblically and in the Hebraic, as an Adam Kadmonic template. All 7 interact with one another synergistically. The 7 stars of Ursa Major and the 7 stars of the Pleiades as a gestalt of cosmic vibrations in the heavens form the major influence in your universal reality for the 14 Yurga or Osiris permutations. The healing of Osiris and the restoration of his regenerative function is symbolically similar to the healing of the lame Fisher King who was wounded in the thigh. This will occur through the 14th permutation of the Yurga matrix, which represents the Osirian phallus. In cosmic terms, this permutation is a specific agitational type vibration which unites the 13 Talasket with the entirety of the 14 Yurga permutations. Now, I know you're listening to this and you're going, what? It's difficult to follow, and it's not intended as some kind of deep study because he's just skimming the surface of some incredibly deep work of some kind, that we have, at least at this point in time, I have no access to, or I wouldn't try to have access to because it would be too much for me in my condition. But the point is, in reading this and just listening to the flow of the energies, it is affecting you. I truly believe that. I know I read imperfectly because I lack the vision to see well enough, and I don't have glasses. But even so, I'm placing the vibration of this into the speech, and I'm allowing this current to move outward as I speak. So even if you cannot possibly understand how this all relates in the truest sense of the word, you are receiving an impression, a vibration of it. And if it feels right to you, I'm reading it and going, well, it feels right, even if I don't understand it. That means it's getting through to you on certain levels of your being, and it's bringing that energy forth, and it's allowing you to step into your empowerment within this field of perception. To continue, briefly, so as not to get too far off our intended topic, I would like to give the following correlations between these systems of permutations and the Gnostic text, the Pistis Sophia. In the first paragraph of Chapter 1, Book 1 of the Pistis Sophia, it reads, "But it happened that after Yeshua had risen from the dead, he spent 11 years speaking with his disciples, and he taught them only as far as the places of the first ordinance, and as far as the places of the first mystery, which is within the veil, which is within the first ordinance, which is the 24th mystery outside and below. These which are in the second space of the first mystery, which is before all mysteries, the Father in the form of a dove. And Yeshua said to his disciples, I have come forth from that mystery, which is the last mystery, namely the 24th. Boy, if I thought my work was hard to read. This is from the Pistis Sophia, which is an ancient text. You can Google it. It's out there. Okay, so now, me speaking. The 24th mystery written about in this text correlates with the 24 Math Ru Humka, universal solar or universal central sun master consciousness permutations. According to Thoth, they are in the essence one and the same, since the 24 permutations of the Math Ru Humka create the mystery or containment field of which Yeshua is speaking. The first mystery is the mystery of life and incarnation as a spirit-to-matter cycle. Essentially, the first mystery is a code containing all the other permutation systems up through the Maf Ru Humka. Thus, the 24th mystery is also the first mystery. Well, that's kind of a mind twister as well. In Chapter 30, the Book of 1 in the Pistis Sophia, it reads, Through the ordinance of the first ordinance, the great triple-powered Authades, who is one of the three triple-powered ones, persecuted the Sophia in the 13th aeon, so that she should look at the parts below, so that she should see in that place his light power, which has a lion face, and she should desire it, and come to that place, and her light would be taken from her. According to Thoth, the Sophia in this text is synonymous with the 13 permutations of Talasket, which is the lunar Christic feminine. Thoth, she, Sophia, abides therein. She is the aspect of spirit which has fallen to the masculine form. She is the displaced part of the spiritual whole seeking reunion with her common domain in the higher heaven. Yet she is trapped in the positive polarity of matter. In this vein, so she is within the 13 permutations which control the flux and flow of consciousness into the matter realm. Authetes is a representation of the quality of Metatronic power emanating from the lion-faced Syrian solar lords. Authetes is a title to denote a cosmic event in which an aspect of the negative polarity of Earth, feminine, attempted to pass through into the Eye of Ra, or the exposed central node of the universal terror, but was kept from this activity by the power invested within the solar lords, the lion-faced ones. Had this polarity of Earth entered the Eye of Ra, the Earth would have been destroyed. This event occurred when the Atlanteans tampered with the Telesarkara and caused the time tsunami. Of course, this is referencing material that we're not going to go into here because, it's just going to take us completely off topic. In now linking the permutation information herein imparted with the theme of the Grail mysteries, we can see that these permutations serve as an interface between the stellar realms of Mazzaroth, lower heavens, and Mazzaloth, mid-heavens, and in some instances also with the vibration of the higher heavens as well. Thoth indicates that the Ayoskololika is the sacred path to humanity's receipt of all mysteries. Through the blood consciousness of Christ in the Grail of the earth, so the risen will be born in you, and the incarnated flesh become risen. That last sentence was a direct Thothic quote. Let me read it again. Through the blood consciousness of Christ in the Grail of the earth, so the risen will be born in you, and the incarnated flesh become risen. Of course, this is speaking, we obviously know now of the newer star ascension dynamic. Interpreting Thoth's somewhat cryptic message, he is telling us that the entire composite of the 7 sets of permutations, the Ayoskololika, hold the pattern and path for humanity to regain full knowledge of the sacred mysteries, the knowledge of their stellar origins, and the path of return. The Christic consciousness, which has been infused within the genetic streaming of the earth, the blood consciousness of Christ in the Grail of the earth, shall be the key to liberation of all souls who take it upon themselves to seek these inner mysteries of spirit, coming to a high degree of realization of that Christic consciousness within. As a result, their matter form shall undergo the alchemical transformation necessary for it to resume its ultra-embodiment status once again. The risen, in its first mention, are the souls who have moved into states of consciousness whereby they are free of the karmic wheel of incarnation. However, Thoth tells us that even those souls will once again become incarnate in order to attain to ever higher levels through the Grail vibration in the earth. Thoth thus hints real loudly that these permutation sets are a type of communication matrix for pure genetic, paragenetic, that's soul genetics, and Christic consciousness information from higher stellar worlds to be maintained in the Earth's vibrational spectrum of light. As humanity comes to find their way into these information superhighways once again, new parameters of reality expression will unfold at a phenomenal rate relative to what we engender as possible. Even in this day and age of supercomputers, these modern technological cyber giants are nothing relative to the capacity of the human mind when it is operating in synchronization with the infinity point of the heart. Thus, we have the key to the Grail consciousness, the linking of mind and heart, for that is what will ultimately enable us to travel these cosmic superhighways represented in the 7 systems of permutations given us by Thoth. He indicated that to lose the Grail within is to lose the path of mind to heart. The earth has lost its path from mind, space-time, to the heart, infinity. Only through the redemption of light in matter, finding the Grail, or light codes of release, can the path once again be revealed. In addition, Thoth indicates that there are corollaries between the 7 miracles of light, the 7 sacraments, the 7 sets of sacred permutations, and the first 7 Mazarothic threshold Christic initiations, as given previously in this text, not in this particular video, but previously in this text. He states all of these systems of 7 hold the power of transmitting the Christic consciousness into the experience of the incarnate soul, each in a different modality of form. Well, that was quite an intense reading. I will certainly admit to that. But betwixt all the turning and spinning and convoluting of it all, we must understand that why these things are mysteries is because they're difficult to understand. And why are they difficult to understand is because we have not truly activated that part of our brain that would allow us to simply receive this information so quickly and so purely that, there would be no need for the phrasing that is used by the Pistis Sophia, by the ancient mystery schools, whatever, and indeed by Thoth when he gives me some of this information. Those words and symbols and the way they're put into language that may seem so incomprehensible are actually seeded codes to allow the brain to absorb them on deeper levels. And I'm not just speaking of my work, but other ancient texts and things that have all this coded and braiding wording, the 7 inside the so-and-so inside this, that does this, that, it's like you're trying to follow with your mind and you can't go there, And that's the filter. Because people that are not ready to truly receive it on deeper levels, the way I'm not going to listen to this, and it's just not in their context, at their time, their readiness to do so. Which is not a put down, it's just simply a statement. There's plenty of things I'm not ready to receive either, I'll tell you. So, but the ones that are saying, I feel something here, I'm going to stick with it, I feel something. Well, the feeling is the thing. The mental comprehension is icing on the cake. If you understand something, that's great. But if you feel it, that's greater. So, with that, I will conclude our 3rd video in the Grail series, and I look forward to speaking with you again in the next one.